me every day. Love is gonna come my way. Searching for clues that I hope to find. Want something that's gonna last. I wanna live and forget the past. I know this change is gonna do me good. I know this change is gonna do me good. Even though it hurts me now. I know this change will do me good. I'm wondering where the wind will blow. If you got a clue, then let me know. Don't hold back now. Give me a sign. Tell me something really good. Like live your dreams, you know you should. I know this change is gonna do me good. I know this change is gonna do me good. Even though it hurts me now. I know this change will do me good. Everything changes in its own way. I'm feeling better every day. And I'm gonna look back at all of this someday. And I'm gonna even though it hurts me now, I know this change will do me good. Even though it hurts me now, I know this change will do me good.
I had the feeling this was going to happen, and maybe it's coincidence, or maybe it's because of the subject matter we're talking about tonight. So if you give me a couple of minutes, my computer's going bonkers right now, and it's no surprise. Usually this happens when I interview a very controversial person, or talk about a very controversial
This conference is being recorded.
subject. So, let me see. I want to be able to record this on. Oh wait, it make up your mind. What's that?
It just came on.
What did?
I don't know. It just said this conference is being recorded just now.
Oh yeah, because I was just now able to start the recording for the conferencing call, and I thought that I was. I don't know. I went and I pressed record on the UStream video, and it says the recording unexpectedly stopped, so I hit OK, and then I went to check to try to turn on the record again, but it was already recording, and I didn't understand that. So what I did is I refreshed the page, which took everything out of whack, and so now I'm literally waiting for it to come back up so that we can start the show. And right now I'm waiting for the video to come back in so that we can start. So okay, oops, here, and I'm going to start recording. Okay, everything looks like it's like we're up on topic. So All right, so everything is up and going. Aloha. Good evening. This is Andrew Aloha live out of Flagstaff, Arizona for Spiritual Image Productions on Blog Talk Radio and FreeConferencing.com and Ustream, establishing and maintaining right relationships for human bodies. Aloha and welcome to tonight's show. Tonight we're talking about we're doing the Golden Age Paranormal show, talking about government paranormal programs. And when Marietta, and also we're here tonight with Reverend Marietta White, all the way out of New York. Aloha, Reverend Marietta.
Aloha, Andrew. Aloha, everyone out there.
And it's funny because I don't know why. If you go to spiritualimageproductions.com, on the right-hand side there's a place to sign up for the email list, and then on the left-hand side there's a link that says the Golden Age Paranormal Experience Show. And you click on that, it takes you to the page I'm on right now. And a few months ago we did a segment called the Secret Space Program, and there was literally that same week a jet or I don't know, a space shuttle had come back. I believe it was launched by the Air Force to do a 2-year mission to go extract information, and nobody knew about it, and they launched it in secrecy. And so it had just come back, and they go, well, secretly we launched this plane, and now it's come back. Yeah, it's been really highly successful, but we fooled you guys because we launched it without your permission. Blah blah blah. So anyhow, I put that video on the page for the Golden Age Paranormal Experience show, and I just for whatever reason I just keep forgetting to take it off. I don't know. Maybe I'll just leave it on just for the heck of it, just to let people know that there's a secret space program going on. But tonight we're not. We're not talking. We're going to be talking about a secret space program. Tonight we're talking about a government paranormal program. Secret paranormal programs that have been going on throughout the years. And when Reverend Marietta and I talked about this, I thought, well, yeah, let's. I don't know how we even got onto the subject. So, in fact, I think you brought it up, Reverend Marietta, and I said, okay, well, let's go with it. I like it. So, when I first start putting this together, I thought, man, there's a lot. It may be a secret paranormal program or project, but there sure is a lot of information on the internet about this. That's for sure. So anyhow, as I've done a bunch of research, there's a lot of information about it, and we're going to go over a lot of that. And I don't know, we might even turn this into a second segment where we're going to be talking about not only the paranormal projects, but even more beyond that stuff. And just to let you go, Marietta White, you can Reverend Marietta White, you can get a hold of at let me see, Marietta White 69 at gmail.com. Is that correct, Reverend Marietta? Okay. Yes. And just to let you know, Reverend Marietta is a psychic medium, Christian spiritualist, pastor through the Church of Radiant Light, and through her practice at teachings by Marietta. She brings her knowledge and understanding of all that is and can be. She is one of the belief that we are like tiny snowflakes that can become a snowball that can cause an avalanche of love and kindness. Reverend Marietta invites you to take the journey with her. She has classes on mediumship as well as planned classes on angels, beginning mediumship, reading your signs, symbolism, and more, and numerology and more. So we're going to come back and talk to her. So what I want to do right now is give a big aloha to all of our underwriters that help make this show happen from week to week, month to month, year to year, beginning with Maha Dikini Lore at www.mahadikini.com. Maha Dikini Lore's life has been a personal journey exploring sexuality and spirituality for over 20 years. She's a certified tantric counselor and tantric healer and a certified mind sound teacher. Maha Dikini Lore is also a graduate of Margot Anand's year-long Sky Dancing Tantric Facilitator Training Program, as well as a current member of the American Association of Sex Educators, Counselors, and Therapists Club, and a charter member of the Association of Sexual Energy Professionals. She regularly attends trainings and conferences to keep current with the latest research and information on sexual education. And then we have the 90-day Ascension Journey at www.90dayascensionjourney.com. Now, I want to tell you guys, before I even go further, is that right now I'm offering a free copy of this book for an exchange for your email. That's all you have to do is give us your email address, and you can go in and get a copy of it and read this for free for yourself. Now, just to let you know, when you sign up for the 90-day Ascension Journey, you will be facilitated with defining and redefining your soul for life purpose. You will be assisted with finding out what ascension means to you on this journey. You will be providing tools, techniques, and assistance to empower you to connect and reconnect with yourself, your emotions and feelings in your mind, body, and spirit. Through a universal soul-centered process, you will be going through a lifelong transformation that will allow you to move forward with your endeavors and never look back if you're there. And again, this there's a two-part process for this. There's the mentoring program, the journey itself, which is 12 hours in length, either 1 hour a week or intensive weekend intensive we want. And last year I wrote the book for it to supplement so people can get a better understanding. And I believe that the people that I've already done journeys with do understand the gist of everything that's going on. But maybe they can go further and deeper. I don't know. So anyhow, again, I wrote the book for this for people to get a better understanding. And some people can just read the book and they'll be fine and they can move on. And others, as I have already found out, they read the book and they just needed more hands-on assistance for this. So anyhow, now the next vendor, the 2017 MUFON Symposium at www.mufonsymposium.com is going to be happening next weekend. Literally, it's going to be a big weekend. They've got 600-700 people already lined up at the doors, ready to go, and it's going to be in Las Vegas. The MUFON is the oldest and largest civilian UFO investigative organization in the United States. It has been dedicated to finding the truth about UFOs through its mission of investigation, research, and education. This year, there's a number of speakers presenting at the MUFON Symposium, including Dr. James Woodward, Michael Schrott, Dr. Michael Sala, and Debbie Ziegelmeyer. Zan Harzan, who's the director of MUFON, invites you to attend the MUFON Symposium in Las Vegas, Nevada from the 21st to the 23rd of July and actively participate in the case for a secret space program. It's also going to be live streamed, so if you can't make it in person, again, you can go to MUFONsymposium.com, and there's some information there where you can capture the live stream version and just at the convenience of your own home. And you don't have time. I think it's only $79, and not only that, but they give you a year's subscription to MUFON or something like that to their videos. You can take the time to listen to all the lectures and all those speakers and everything that's going on over there. So anyhow, so tonight again, we're talking about governmental paranormal programs. Whether they're secret or not, it's a whole different ballgame. But they've been going on for years, and there's a whole plethora of information about all this. I mean, I was just overwhelmed. I thought, yeah, this is secret, all right. And because I'm going to tell you, when I went in to search out this information for tonight's show, I believe I put in what are the top government paranormal programs or projects or something like that. I mean, only one phrase. That's all it took, and it just sent me to a whole information, a whole like IBM computer, whole huge mainframe hard drive directory of information. Is like, wow, holy cow, Batman, where's all this stuff coming from? So anyhow, I'm going to let Reverend Marietta get us going on these paranormal programs, and there's some main programs that are that have been started, and several of them have been ended. But I don't think that they're, something like this is ever ended, because somewhere in the works, it was literally stated in writing that, if psychic ability and paranormal ability were useless and of no regard, then why would government and private companies spend millions, not thousands, millions of dollars to research this stuff? Why? If it was so insignificant and so worthless. You search me, I don't know. That's a lot of money to be putting out there for something that's not useful for any reason at all. That's what I think. What do you think, Reverend Marietta?
Yeah, it doesn't stand to reason, and some of the programs have huge amount of money given to them. Also, a lot has been given by individual corporations and companies and stuff to research also. So there's a lot of interest in this. And a lot of it has to do with foreign espionage. And that's kind of where it all got started, with worrying about the Soviet Union spying on us, and they had a very active program, which I'll talk about in a second, of trying to do research. And that's when we got involved, because we had to keep up with them for fear they would be influencing our people or causing problems. And it's my understanding it's ongoing today, that there's a lot more sophisticated type things going on now than what even went on during this program.
Now, that's a really good point, Reverend Marietta, is that you're right. What are the intentions behind doing this research? And you hit it right on the head, for financial gain, for a gain of dominance, of gain of militaristic power. I mean, and there was one project. This particular article is called 6 Paranormal Experiments Conducted by the Government, and at the very bottom is Ministry of Defense in the UK. In the UK, I'm just going to read this really quickly, Reverend Marietta. Shortly after the September 11 attack, the United Kingdom's Ministry of Defense began to research paranormal phenomenon in hopes of finding something to aid them in war against terrorism. Now, that's by far the most humanistic reason or reasonable reason that I would know, I would come across to do research with paranormal or psychic phenomena. I mean, to me, that just, that's a much more reasonable interest for doing this stuff than some of these other. And like I said, these other people were interested in gaining, are interested in gaining, power. And what's real power? People talk about power. Having lots of money, lots of wealth, being a position of power, but that's all a line of shit, and that's the nice version of it. Period. Power is the power that you have within yourself, coming from your heart, and it doesn't get any better than that. I can guarantee you. If you can tap into the power within your heart and become one with the universe, I can guarantee you that's a lot more powerful than anything out there that has to do with military or position or wealth or money or whatever. And I don't have anything against any of that, because there is a level of people wanting to or protecting themselves, and that there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're living in fear to begin with, that's the wrong kind of power. Period. You know what I'm saying? If you're living in fear, if fear is running your life, then you have got your head screwed on backwards and then some, because that's not true power. True power has nothing to do with fear. I can guarantee you that 100%. So anyhow, what else did you discover with this phenomenon that we've been working with?
Well, just kind of for some basic overview, the main focus of the program resulted in discovering remote viewing, or at least researching remote viewing. And I just want to clarify what that is so people have a little understanding. Originally, it was referred to seeing things that were at a fair distance away. The term remote sensing, which was also used, included any type of data perceived from a distance. Remote viewing is the ability to use the mind to see a person, place, or object that is located some distance away and beyond the physical range of sight. This ability also enables you to witness events at a remote site without using the known senses. This can include present, past, or future remote viewing. This practice was legitimatized when the U.S. government and Russia each established their own remote viewing units. The U.S. had a unit in each branch, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Marines. They were often in competition with each other. Remote viewing is used today a lot to put it in perspective. If you ever watch Unsolved Mysteries, they use that. Almost every police, in the country now uses some form of psychic in cases they can't solve. And what those psychics are doing is remote viewing. They go to the site of whatever crime was committed, and they do it in their mind, and they recreate the crime so that they can help solve the crime. And that's a form of remote viewing. And anybody can learn to do this. It is, if you have a pretty good handle on understanding your psychic abilities, you can learn to do this skill. I've taken classes in it, and I was just absolutely amazed to see what you can actually do with remote viewing. And I use it some myself for different things, but it's actually something that can be learned with, and it's fun. Have you viewing?
Yeah. I've worked with remote viewing on a number of occasions, and I have found that not only remote viewing, but teleporting and various other psychic abilities literally tap into your creative imagination. And basically, you're opening up your heart, you're opening up your mind, and allowing your creative senses to filter through. And then, and that's why it's important for people that want to become psychic or be psychic or enhance their psychic ability to learn how to meditate. Because you listen, you sit down and you listen, and especially like a Zen style of meditation. There's there's two main types of meditation, what you call guided meditation, which has to do with visuals, and then the other one is called why can't I remember this? Sound current meditation, which has to do with listening, and so when you listen, you get to the point where you can hear as good as dogs can hear. Your senses are heightened, and you learn to pick up on stuff you would never ever pick up on because most people are too busy out getting drunk, out doing crimes, out doing whatever stupidity they do out there that third dimensional people do, and they don't sit down to be conscious with themselves and that which is around them, and so they don't really hear and pick up on stuff that most psychic people do because they've taken the time to work with themselves. They've taken the time to work with their tools, with their instruments, with their bodies, with themselves to learn to pick up on this stuff. And a psychic ability is not something that anybody is not. I mean, there are a lot of people that are naturally born psychic mediums, but they learned it over the years. It's just like Beethoven, or Einstein. They were geniuses because they've been doing this stuff for other lifetimes, not just this lifetime. And the really evolved, advanced psychics that are out there, they've been doing this with in other lifetimes. And then not only that, but they're born into families that are also psychic mediums. 3 or 4 or 5 generations of families are all psychic mediums, but that's how the energy works. It's not even just a thing of being born into a family and then you're a psychic medium too. It's because everybody their energies are honed in and balanced enough so that they can be able to be born into that family. Their energies that have already been evolved enough so that they can be born into that family. Otherwise, they may not even be able to be born into a family of that nature because of that. So it's like that. So again, psychic ability is a matter of listening, paying attention, and tapping into your creative abilities and tapping into your heart. And if you can't get into that space, then your remote viewing skills are probably going to be pretty harsh. You're gonna have a hard time. But I picked up on a lot of stuff that people, I'd be talking to them over the phone, and I'd be doing a session with them or something, and I go, you're in your living room right now. There's a lot of brown. I guess you got some brown couches, you got some brown tables. Your kitchen's right next to the living room, and it's white, and it's got a bar, blah blah blah. And they're amazed because I can pick up on all that. And or sometimes I'll do a clearing or something like that, and I'll say, they're doing a forgiveness thing with a release with their dad, and so I pick up their dad. Yeah, he looks like a farmer. He's got overalls. He's got really short hair. He's tall. He's really pudgy or overweight. Not incredibly grossly overweight, but he is overweight. Blah blah blah. He reminds me of Gomer Pyle. Blah 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 blah. And they go, and they're laughing because they're blown away because I'm describing their father to the exact T, and they're just like cracking up. So, but it's like that. And I'm not trying to figure out who these people are. I'm not trying to second guess, but I'm just picking up the information. I'm just opening on myself. They're open, and then I tap into my creative ability, and then I literally see these people that are family that they're doing releases with or whatever, but it's like that. So go ahead. What else you got, Reverend Marietta?
Basically, you're right. Anybody can learn to use those skills if they take the time to learn, and mostly it's just trusting, letting go of your, physical, normal, everyday thinking, and just trusting that you're going to receive information and let go of all the junk going on in your life, and you'll start getting information. It's pretty amazing. But they basically focused on remote viewing. In the 1970s, Hal Puthoff and Russell Targan, by the way, people that I talk about today, and if we do another show, a lot of these people are still around, and if you Google them, you will find that they have classes or CDs or books telling more information or, teaching how to do remote viewing and things like that. So it's worth looking into. Only a couple of these guys have passed away.
I'm glad you said that because I didn't read the last part of this Ministry of Defense in UK, which started in 2001. They started a paranormal program. The study was similar to Project Stargate before it, as the MOD was hoping to use psychics and astrology to locate local terrorists. And then now it's interesting that they're not only using psychics, but they're using astrologers too. I think that's very interesting. And I haven't ran into anywhere else where they're using astrology, which to work with Stargate, to work with Blue Book and all these other projects. And yet, astrology is a science. I think it may be even more useful on various levels than even psychic ability, if you ask me. But anyhow, the Ministry of Defense also researched the existence of alien life and conducted a UFO study. Ex-MOD member Nick Pope, who I've actually met at the MUFON, and he may even be at the MUFON Symposium next week in Las Vegas. But he also lives in Tucson as well, here in Arizona. But anyhow, he recently came forward, having once ran the UFO sector of for the MOD. He stated that the MOD has looked into not only UFO sightings and psychic phenomena, but also hauntings that have been reported on military bases. Of all the cases he worked on, he stated that 85% could be explained, but the other 20% or 15% remain a mystery and could possibly be paranormal. So these guys are confirming that I believe are confirming that paranormal activity exists, what it is, I think they're having a hard time labeling it and compartmentalizing it into and controlling it or putting it into a controlled situation where they can have better more than I think they want more than better understanding. They want to use it for Department of Defense and whatever else. Who knows what else they want to use it for? But anyhow, go ahead. You were talking about.
That just brought up something I have here. The Gallup polls and Pew Research Center studies say that the majority of Americans have paranormal beliefs. 73% say they have had a supernatural or a paranormal experience. That's a lot. 55% believe in psychic or spiritual healing. 41% believe in extrasensory perception or telepathy. 29% believe that extraterrestrials have visited Earth, and 18% say they have seen a ghost. Only 27% do not believe in anything supernatural.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of.
And again, these people are studying paranormal ability, but my understanding is they aren't psychics themselves. If you want to study a psychic, you're going to want to be a psychic yourself to be able to really gain information that's useful and understand it and work with it in a way that's helpful. And so I think that they several of these projects have been canned. They've been rejected or they stopped them. But again, it's because it's like, I'm a prodigy kid, or I'm a prodigy person, and I want to study regular, or I'm a regular person and I want to study prodigy people. Well, if you really want to get a really good understanding of a person that's a prodigy, you're going to want to be a prodigy yourself, and I think that can be the best thing. So anyhow, I tell you what, let's go like this, Reverend Marietta. I want to play some music. Let's play some music. You know what? I think I'm going to play this one anyhow. I don't think I've played it yet. I'm in Flagstaff, and it's been raining. It's sprinkling now, I think, but earlier it was pouring pretty good. But it's so nice out here right now, and it's amazing. You go to Phoenix, and it's 110, 115 degrees, and here in Flagstaff, it's like probably about 70 degrees or so, 72 degrees, and it's raining, and it's cool, and just anyhow, I'm going to play a song called Summertime by Zahira from her album Rising Up. And I want to send out love, blessings, healing, angels of light, love to all these people that are studying the paranormal, to all these people that are involved with the paranormal, to all the people that are going to be attending the MUFON Symposium next weekend. And incidentally, we're not going to be doing any shows next weekend, so just to let you know, because of that. But to all, of course, to Reverend Marietta and her family and friends, and me and my family and friends, and myself and ourselves and our family and friends, to our vehicles and places of residence that take care of us, to all the kids and the animals and the plants and the minerals on the planet, especially the ones that need concern, and of course to the President of the United States. That guy needs all the help he can get. His entourage. Maybe he'll pull out of this whole situation. I don't know what's going on, but anyhow, Reverend Marietta, anyone you want to add to that?
I think just to a lot of the people who are suffering, homeless. I talked to a homeless fella today. To people who are really in need, and also the people who are in fear of losing their medical, the elderly and children, and people with pre-existing things, pre-existing illnesses and things like that.
Got it. Well, that's a good idea. Let's send out love, blessings, healing, angels of light, love to the healthcare system on this planet, whatever country it may be in. I probably all of them can be improved. I'm sure of it, and especially the one in this country. People cry about Obamacare, but there's millions of people that have gotten healthcare now because of that. And whether it's a good way to do it, obtain that health care, I don't know. I don't know what all these people are going through. And now they're trying to change it, and the changes that they've been coming forward with seem absurd, completely out of whack. I don't, where are these people coming from? They wacko. What's wrong with these people? They need to serve the people, not serve themselves. That's stupidity. Otherwise, right? Anyhow,
I have to look at it this way, Andrew. Nobody complains about buying insurance to keep their car on the road.
Yeah, right. Well, no, are you kidding? I'm complaining about that too, but that's exactly what I just haven't mentioned it. But anyhow, to everyone else in need and concern, we will be back summertime as they're here from our album Rising Up.
Subconference from 1 to 4 or press star to return to the conference. To join the subconference, press number of subconference from 1 to 4 or press star to return to the conference.
And we're back. This is Aloha live out of Flagstaff, Arizona, with Spiritual Image Productions on Blog Talk Radio and FreeConferenceTeam.com. And Ustream, establishing and maintaining relationships for human beings. Tonight we're doing the Golden Age Paranormal Experience Show, talking about the government paranormal program. We're here with Reverend Marietta White all the way out of New York, and we've already talked about remote viewing and some of the experiences with remote viewing. How they started remote viewing back in the 70s. It was the 70s, is that correct, Reverend Marietta?
Well, that's when Stanford Research Institute started working on it. It started right after World War II in a big way when they got real serious about it.
Got it. So what I want to do, we have a caller online. I'm not sure what their question is, but anyhow, area code 646, Aloha, you're on the air. Area code 606. Oh, I guess they didn't want to ask the question. They were just wanting to listen. But anyhow, again, when Reverend Marietta and I talked about doing this, I thought, well, I'm going to research this and then find out what's so. And I found there's a whole lot of information about governmental paranormal programs. And what article? I want to start out with this article by a website called theriches.com. It talks about the six paranormal experiments conducted by the government. And I actually was going to put this on. I thought about putting the pictures on the show so you can check them out for yourself. But I didn't get that far because I just didn't get enough time. And I may still put them on there anyhow, just for the sake of it. But anyhow, the first project they talk about is the Philadelphia experiment, where the Philadelphia experiment is much more than just a 1984 movie. It was one of the military's earliest studies of the paranormal, and this particular experiment sounds as far-fetched and sinister as a chapter of Lovecraft novel. While the military's official line remains vague on the existence of the experiment, a few key people have come forward and confirmed that it really happened, allegedly. The Philadelphia experiment centered around the USS Elridge, which reportedly teleported from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to Norfolk, Virginia. The experiment was looking into the possibility of invisible devices and manipulating electromagnetic energies fields around the vessel, but the military stumbled into the area of possible time travel and teleportation. However, the state if you looked at the movie, if you watched the movie, it was pretty profound. Did you ever watch that movie, Reverend Marietta?
I've read up on it. I haven't watched the movie on it.
Yeah, you should watch the movie on it. It's profound. They have this huge ship that they teleport from one location to another, and the problem is that when the molecular structure of the cells or the energies got teleported, they weren't teleported correctly to the other location, and there was sailors that were embedded into the walls of the ship, into the it was just really freaky stuff going on that was going on with it. And so I'm not sure how true it all was in the movie, but it was pretty profound. It was a trip too, man. It was a big time heavy duty trip. So anyhow, however, the sailors that were inside the vessel during these experiments were not so lucky. Tales of mangled bodies and torn up flesh accompany tales of the Philadelphia experience. And then the next project, the next paranormal, and when you look at this article on the internet, there's literally a picture of an alien that's lying down, and I don't know how authentic that picture is, but this alien, I guess, was in a crash or something. There's all kinds of scratches and all kinds of stuff all over him from the crash or whatever. And I don't know if he's dead or not. He looks like he's dead. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers, and I don't know. It just looks pretty profound. Anyhow, you can check it out for yourself. Again, if you Google what are the top government paranormal projects, you can probably find it pretty easy, I'm sure. So anyhow, the next project that they talk about is Project Stein, 1947. Project Stein was the first of a series of investigations into the existence and legitimacy of unidentified flying objects. The project was first was the first to make a comprehensive list of the factors defining an unidentified flying object, which include color, shape of the object, speed of flight, usually around 300 knots, whether or not the object left a smoke or a smoke trail, agility and maneuverability of the object, and absence of sound. This morphed into a checklist of sorts for UFO and alien enthusiasts, and is referenced for UFO sightings to this day. But the government didn't really take kindly to the direction in which Project Sign was moving, since it was displaying a clear bias towards aliens as the cause of UFOs, as opposed to looking into more objective, logical explanations or natural causes. So it sounds to me like these guys did not want to admit that aliens exist. It sounds like, but I don't know, but that's what it seems like to me. The next project that they talk about is called Project Grudge in 1949. They show, and in the project, in the picture of the project sign, they show a saucer, a regular shaped flying saucer, which looks pretty clear. I don't know how authentic it is, but it looks pretty interesting. Anyhow, the next project is called Project Grudge in 1949. They show a picture. It looks like a saucer. It's not like the one in the sign project, but it looks like it's upside down. It's on its back or something like that. Yeah, Project Grudge was a short-lived investigation into UFO studies conducted by the United States Air Force. Project Sign was biased towards because Project Sign was biased towards the existence of alien life. Project Grudge aimed to approach the study of UFOs more objectively and to put a label on each kind of sighting and experience. Over 270 reports were taken, and only 23% of those reports were deemed to be unexplainable, even though there were a number of Air Force officers who acknowledged the possibility of the existence of aliens. It wasn't enough to add any more legitimacy to the idea of extraterrestrial life being connected to UFOs. The project was shut down after only 8 months of operation. And then one of the biggest projects that they have, and MUFON will talk about this. I'm not sure if MUFON has their hands on Project Blue Book or not. I think they do, but I don't want to. I don't quote me on that. Project Blue Book started in 1952. It was the third in a series of research projects conducted by the United States Air Force studying UFOs. The goal of the project was to determine whether UFOs were a threat to the state of national security and to analyze the data collected from UFO studies, including but not limited to eyewitness testimony and debris from potential alien activity. After 17 years of operation, the project was ordered to shut down. A decision finalized in 1970. The study concluded that there was nothing anomalous about UFOs. They were not a threat to the national security of the United States, and there was nothing about UFOs that indicated a connection with alien life forms. Project Blue Book collected over 12,000 reports of UFO experiences, many of which are demystified as attributable to natural causes. Thanks to the Freedom of Information Act, all these reports are now available to the public. So, and you were talking about that earlier, correct, Reverend Marietta?
Yeah, if I remember right, too, on the Blue Book thing, that was kind of a setup. They actually chose, I want to say his name was Conrad. Congdon. They chose a man who did not believe in UFOs to run the organization, and it actually was started as trying to do a disinformation more than anything. That program actually, when it shut down, went to another program, which was more legitimate, but I can't tell you the name of it right now. So it didn't totally disappear. They just shut the Blue Book one down. But they tried to. I'm saying there wasn't enough evidence when a lot of the stuff that they claimed didn't have any evidence and wasn't proved. Actually, there was a whole lot of evidence, but they overlooked it.
So now it's funny because they're saying here that this Project Blue didn't confirm any real activity of UFOs or aliens, yet when there was an encounter with UFOs initially, I believe back in the 40s, maybe late 30s, but I think in the 40s, I believe the UFOs warned their craft, the airplanes, not to fire upon them, and they did anyhow. And then 2 or 3 or planes, I can't remember how many or whatever happened exactly, but they did. The UFOs blew them up out of the sky, and that freaked them out. And ever since then, they've made well, number one, they started studying these UFOs and the aliens, and then number two, they made it very clear for the military staff and personnel, the fighter pilots, to not screw with the UFOs, to just leave them be. Then just acknowledge that they're there, if anything else, and that's it. But they were given strict orders not to screw with them anymore, because they didn't want another pilot to be blown up out of the sky. And so, and is this the reason why Project Blue determined that there's no real UFOs or aliens? I don't know, but that sounds like to me like somebody was scared, scared to death.
Part of their theory is that if they were to come out and say there was, it would cause mass hysteria. Which I think we're way past that at this point, but they really did poo-poo a lot of it. Yet if you talk to some pilots, you talk to air traffic controllers, which I have, they see stuff all the time.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure of it.
I mean, right in our own area. I was speaking with an air traffic controller, and I asked her, had she ever seen anything? And she says, yes, she did. She said that there was a report come in, the police were called to a nearby city because the lady claimed one was in her backyard, like it had come down over her backyard. And the police came, the police radioed the air traffic controller and said they saw something there, radioed the tower couldn't see anything. Nothing was showing. And so they kept going back and forth. The cop is going, yeah, we see it. And the air traffic is saying, we're not seeing it because it's not showing up on radar. And a few minutes later, it went right past the windows of the tower.
Got it.
It did not show up on radar, but it went past the windows on the tower.
Right.
And so
anyhow,
they're out of a different material than what ours are because they don't show up on the radar as you rule.
Got it. So now, one of the other projects that they talk about, this article talks about, 1972. They talk about Project Stargate, and there's a movie, The Men Who Stare at Ghosts, with George Clooney, that was done based upon this project. I'm pretty sure. But anyhow, the United States Department of Intelligence, DIA, conducted a series of experiments, now known as Project Stargate, starting in 1972 in hopes of investigating claims of psychic phenomena to see if it would be useful in military warfare and intelligence research. The government was specifically interested in the psychic branch of remote viewing, the ability to psychically see events and locations from a distance. Numerous subjects participated in these experiments for a number of years. The project was eventually shut down in 1995, stating that the results were inconclusive and most likely not useful in the areas of government, intelligence, and warfare. The events of Project Stargate inspired the 2004 book by Ron Johnson, The Men Who Stare at Ghosts, which was eventually made into a movie by the same name in 2009. One of the youngest subjects of Project Stargate, Alfred Koda, has gone public and with his experiences with Project Stargate, and continues to practice remote viewing. And that's what you were talking about earlier, where remote viewing came from, and actually not that it came from there, but that it was expanded upon there and really well studied. And then finally, the Ministry of Defense of UK, which was started in 2001, which I've already gone over, where Nick Pope, again, and who actually lives in Tucson. I believe, I don't know if I met him a couple years, 2 years ago, or whatever, anyhow, he came forward, having once ran the UFO sector of the MOD. He stated that the MOD was looked into not only for UFO sightings, but for psychic phenomena, haunting, and all kinds of other stuff. Right? And again, he reports that 85% of the things could be explained, but there was a 15% ratio that was not explainable. And I don't know how many studies they did off of that, but 15% is reasonably significant. I'm not sure exactly how significant, but So we got about 33 minutes left, Reverend Marietta, and I got other articles that I can go over as well. But what else do you got? What else is going on that you came across?
Well, I came across what they were doing. The Stanford Research Institute, which originally started out working with Hal Puthoff and Russell Targ, was actually funded by the government. And it was a research institute, but it was part of, I forgot what university, part of a university. And when people found out it was being funded by the government, there was a big protest, so they had to separate off and make it an independent. But it's now called SRI International, and it's located in Menlo Park, California. But that's where they did a lot of the remote viewing studies. And they coined what they were doing remote viewing because they thought it sounded less psychic.
Yeah.
But it really is just basically another form of clairvoyance. They discovered it was not necessary to have a sender. What they originally started out was they would take somebody, sit them in a secure room, someone who they thought were psychic, because they're trying to prove whether it worked or not. Then they'd send someone out to some site, and the person in the room wouldn't know where they were, and they'd have to tell them what the other person was seeing. And they thought originally that you had to have someone there seeing it, and you saw it through their eyes, so to speak. They later discovered that wasn't even necessary. They went to using coordinates. They used map coordinates. That was actually, I think, Ingo Swann that came up with that idea. They just gave them a map coordinate, and they could zero right in on that site and tell them everything that was there. It's amazing how that worked. And they do that today, but now they do it more. They do a lot of computer work with that. They said they conducted experiments where they called in an outbound researcher, and the interviewer stayed in the lab, would synchronize their watches and agree on a pre-selected time. Then they'd go out to the site, and they'd both look at what that person saw at that pre-selected time. I've tried that before with students. We do pretty good with that. And then the interesting thing was, I thought, too, sometimes when they remote viewed a site, they couldn't tell what they were remote viewing. The person doing it just couldn't articulate what it was. So they started doing it differently. They would have them, if they could articulate it, they would. Otherwise, they had clay in front of them, or they had pencils and paper, and sometimes people could draw what they saw, but they couldn't tell what they saw, which I thought was a little different. They weren't able to say it, but when I look at it, when I took classes in remote viewing, when you're trying to do a person, you're trying to locate the bad guy, so to speak, sometimes those people draw the picture of the bad guy. They can do that better than they can tell what he looked like. It's just some kind of a weird kind of way of doing things. So they had them do all three things, and they were kept in isolated rooms that were made very secure, so no energy could get in, electronics or nothing could permeate the rooms they were in. They were all kept separate. The other thing they discovered, too, when they were doing it was that just about anybody could do remote viewing if they worked with them. They started out working only with psychics, and then they discovered that a lot of other people could learn to do it, and they started training people. Jack Howe stated that he thought that the brain acts like a transmitter and a receiver of information. And he says you can think of it as sending your mind out to a remote place, taking a feel, hear, and look around, and then transmitting it back to the brain, which receives the information and determines what is out there. This is how explained it. He says, I think of the brain as a series of computers all wired together as a radar that transmits and receives information into and from some kind of central storage system outside of a person's body, in which all information is stored. It is like this information is stored at another dimension into which each of our minds have access.
Huh.
Put that together with our government has now identified it concretely. Our scientists have identified 10 different dimensions, all of them only about 3 inches apart.
Right.
And then he said, this dimension is not one of the normal 3 that we look at. It's not length, width, or height, nor the so-called 4th dimension, which is time. And I thought of that right away when he said time, and I thought, you can't see or touch time. You know, it's totally elusive, and that's what your mind is. You can't touch any of it. Our mind is in a connection between our brain and the information stored in another dimension. Our mind is constantly assessing this stored information. Then he said, it is my belief that our memory is also stored in this other dimension. And then it said, after all, neurologists and brain researchers have been searching for the location of memory in our brains for many years with no success. Our mind is constantly storing and assessing information along our world line, which is the record of everything we have done, felt, heard, seen, or experienced in any way. Thus, when the mind searches back along our world line, it assesses the information that represents our memories. We can then feel, hear, and see information presented by a memory that we then perceive inside our heads. To assess information outside of our own world line, you need to have reduced the power of peak emotional events on your own world line. I think that's important. And that's kind of what you talk about with meditation. And they explained it this way. Peak emotional events are like turning the corner on the way home to find your house on fire. It shocks you. You know it. That's a big thing. Or your first kiss or something like that. I said, when you get to the point that you can allow your mind to go outside of your physical self to some remote place, you do not want it locked onto a peak emotional event in your own past. Now, I found with remote viewing, when we do it, we do let go of our own thinking because we're not focused on ourselves. But if there's an event going on, our mind seems to go right to that event. For example, like we tried to find a missing cat one time as part of our class project, which we did locate, and that was in another city.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot to that. That was really interesting. And we went right to the trauma of it first, and then we're able to locate the cat that no one else could locate. Actually, we were pretty proud of ourselves. It was a class. We got a call that a lady couldn't find her cat. The cat had been missing 7 days, so she thought it was dead. I said, send us a picture just so we know what we're looking for. I put it to my class. And we located the cat. The cat was alive. We actually walked them to the place the cat was at. We went through. We said, you're going to go out the back door. You're going to go through flower beds. You're going to go past a green door that has a rounded top on it. You're going to go up a hill through some weeds, and it's in a shed. It got locked in a stone, like a concrete shed. That's where it was. Yeah, it was really cool. But the cool part was that they had consulted 2 other psychics, one of them quite famous, before they called us.
Oh, really?
Neither one of them got it right.
No kidding.
No.
Well, I've come across another article in my research called A New Look Inside the CIA's Program to Train Psychic Spies. And it says it didn't work, but the documents are fascinating nonetheless. So anyhow, the CIA is bound by law to declassify all records that are older than 25 years old. In the past, these records could only be assessed at a single place, the National Archives in Maryland. However, thanks to a lawsuit by the nonprofit organization called Rock, those records have now been uploaded to the internet for your enjoyment in the comfort of your own home. So, and there's a link there that you can go to, where you can go to all those records. Anyhow, those records contain a few references to what you call Sunstreak, a secret military unit that investigated paranormal powers throughout the 1970s and 1980s.
What was the name of that?
It's called Sunstreak. 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 S-U-N, like the sun, and then streak.
Okay. I hear what you were saying. Okay.
Okay. the Sunstreak went by many different names and is referred to in the CIA database as Stargate. So it's the same thing as Stargate. Sunstreak was initially declassified back in 1995 and was subject to the 2004 book and 2009 movie when the men who stare at ghosts. But the details of the program are scarce. Included in the recent CIA data dump are files referring to what you call Project N1 or N-1X, which appears to be a Sunstreak effort to train people with psychic ability to remotely sense the content of classified documents. Here's the declassified data that lays out the goals of the project. The goals, again, this is Project N-1X, and I believe it's the same thing as Sunstreak, which is the same thing as Stargate. The background, it says, and I don't know when, this is back in 2003, January, 2003, January 17th. It says background Project N-1X is a utility assessment conducted to determine the remote viewer's ability and propensity to collect foreign intelligence information against documents shielded from normal perception. Document N-1X is the first in a series of projects N-1 through N-5 inclusively to be conducted. Encrypted coordinates, blah, 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 essential elements of information, access document, again, the coordinates, blah, 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 and describe the following information. So the subject is to access a certain amount of information as a certain coordinate somewhere on the planet and describe them. So the main theme, to describe the main theme, the purpose, principal section, principal subsections, author, publisher, extent of dissemination, security classification, language used, value of document as viewed by customers, title, data published, number of pages, number, document size, description of front cover, and use of charts, photos, graphics, I guess. So anyhow, so that's the objective, and that's what the subject is to do, describe all those elements, and then go from there. So according to the document, Project N-1X was designed to test whether remote sensing is even possible, which, for the record, it almost certainly is not. If N-1X proven successful, the project would have continued to N2 through N5, which likely would have meant the use of psychics in the field. Additional documents. Now, it says here, if it had been proven successful, the project would have continued from N2 through N3 or N5. Now, what about the opposite side of the coin, Reverend Marietta? What if it was highly successful? What if it was so accurate?
They actually addressed this in that book I was telling you about. The Stargate was also called Scangate, Scannate, Grill Flame, Centerland, and a bunch of other names, and they kept changing the names because they were afraid that they were going to get caught at what they were doing, and they didn't want it to get out.
And that's what I'm saying.
They were doing an espionage program. They put out, what do you call it, like counter fake news. They wanted it out because they didn't want the communists to know we were having success. So they
and
put
that's what
out
I'm saying.
that it was not successful because they knew we were being remote viewed by the communists. That's what got it started in the first place. They discovered that we were being remote viewed.
Yeah, well, and I think I told you that before. Years ago, I was going to school at TCU, and I was in my apartment, and I knew it wasn't about faith, or it wasn't just a delusional thing. I knew somebody was remote viewing into my apartment. I don't know who it was and what they were wanting, but I knew, and I'm almost sure that my phone was being bugged, and I didn't even know what remote viewing was at the time. And literally, I told these guys to bug off, to go kiss my butt and get out of my place and leave me alone. I had to do that. I did that several times, and I didn't even know what remote viewing was at the time, and I knew somebody was doing that to me, and it was bizarre. It was freaky. It was not a very nice feeling. It really wasn't.
Well, at the time that David Morehouse joined, he's a fascinating fellow. At the time that he joined this group, they brought him into the group. He was doing testing for something else, and they discovered he was psychic. And so they got real interested in him and switched him to this program. It was around 1990 when he was brought in. He was told this was in operation for 24 years prior to him coming into the program.
Wow.
When he did his remote viewing, just to jump ahead, when they had him remote viewing, he was actually able to go into a secure facility of the enemy, go into a file cabinet, and read a document. They also used him to locate the prisoners of war in Vietnam. They used some of the other psychics. They taught on a unit somewhere, I forgot where I wrote that down, but they taught a unit, I think it was in North Carolina, how to do an Army unit of soldiers, how to do different types of mental stuff. And one of the things they taught them was dowsing, with dowsing rods. And what they used those for was in Vietnam, they used them to locate tunnels underground, to locate where there were munitions. All of this kind of stuff was used dowsing rods. And dowsing rods can be as simple as just some coat hangers. All you have to have is a couple rods sticking out. Hold them real loose in your hand. You talk to what you want it to do, and it will show you what's there. They'll open up wherever you want them to. If you're trying, the easiest way to do it is people can do this. You can do this at home. Take a coat hanger, have two pieces, hanging down from one. You cut your coat hanger off, have a straight piece sticking out, which is your long part of your coat hanger. Have a little handle, let one piece of it hang down straight. So you have two pieces hanging out parallel to the ground. You hold them in both hands. Hold it really loose. Do a little bit of meditation. And you want to find water. Put a dish of water on the floor. Then tell it to tell you when it's over water. You can walk around the room. When you get to that dish of water, your rods will open up. You can go outside, do the same thing. But you can find other stuff that way, too. All you have to do is tell it what you want it to do. It's used all the time to find oil. Well drillers use it all the time to find water. Uri Geller used it a lot for different things. They actually, before he started working with this program, he was in Israel, I believe it was, finding gold mines by using it. And he would use a different form. He used a dowsing with a pendulum, and he would hold it over a map and move it around the map, and when it was over the section where there was a gold mine or a silver mine, it would swing, and it would swing in a circle. And the government, the head of the government was using him to do that.
Wow. So now,
it works. It's not hard to do at all.
We have a person online. I'm not sure if they have a question for us, but I'm going to bring them on anyhow. Area code 504. Aloha, you're on the air.
Oh, hi. Hello.
Aloha, what's your name, where are you located at, and how did you hear about it?
I am from Louisiana. My name is Debbie, and I was kind of perusing Blog Talk and decided to listen.
All right. So did you have a question for us, or you're just listening?
Today was quite a day. I guess it's maybe a question. How do you, these little solar flares? Have y'all been? I kind of just tuned in a little bit ago. Have y'all been talking about how they're affecting light workers?
Well, tonight's subject matter. Well, first of all, we're doing the Golden Age Paranormal Experience, which I believe is a paranormal activity thing. But we're talking about governmental paranormal programs. And so, if you have a question regarding that, we'll be glad to entertain it. Go ahead.
Well, I just heard today, and I'd like to hear what y'all thought about this, Snapchat was facial recognition by the government, or they're buying it or intercepting it, so I just deleted it today. Have y'all heard about that?
Again, say that again.
Snapchat, it's an app you put on your phone. It takes photos. Well, it does a facial recognition. And I don't know if this is true or not, but they said the government was using that to get everyone, to get people's facial recognition by phone, computer, whatever. Isn't that crazy?
Well, it doesn't surprise me because there's stuff that's going on that's even more now about what was it? I was watching a movie about a week ago, and they had it set up so your password is now your thumbprint to get into your account, whatever that is. So
you should change it a lot, huh?
Thumbprints are one of a kind. You can't duplicate a thumbprint with anybody else unless you have some kind of spy types of mechanisms to do that with. I don't know, but I've never done anything like that before. But it's like that. And so number one, if you're hiding something from the government, I can see that you're concerned. But even though I'm not interested in being abused in that way either. So it goes both ways.
Yeah, no, I'm not concerned. I just I don't have anything to hide, but I don't like being monitored either. So I just deleted it. You know?
I don't like people breathing down my throat either. Down my neck as
what's
well.
The point? Right. What's the point?
What's the name of the app that you said?
Snapchat.
Oh, Snapchat or Napchat? N-A-P.
Snap. SNAPCHAT.
Oh, really? No kidding. Wow. And
that's
popular app, isn't it?
It's very popular. They said that there's a patent.
Yeah.
You can Google it. I don't know if it's a hoax or not, but it was very alarming.
Well, they do say that they are moving toward facial recognition, and we're going to be using it for everything. They're moving away from identification and past to this facial recognition for everything.
I don't like that for some reason. It doesn't feel good. Let's put it that way. I have nothing to hide, but it does not feel good.
I agree.
Yeah. Now, I have also I don't know if it's true, but I've also heard that Facebook is being is completely I believe, and again, don't quote me 100% on this, but I believe is completely in bed with the CIA or FBI or both. So literally,
I believe that
they are monitored heavily by the FBI and the CIA as well.
Yeah. I think initially it probably wasn't meant for that, but it was abused. You know?
And that's why, let's say, Mark Zuckerberg, or whatever his name is, that's why he's quitting. He's going to be probably within the next several months, or maybe he already has stepped down, and he's selling, I don't know if he's selling his company or what he's doing, but he's opting out of Facebook. Because he doesn't want anything to do with it anymore because of the abusiveness. And literally, he states that because of the abusiveness, because he just doesn't want that anymore. He doesn't want to deal with it.
That makes me respect him because I thought he was in on it. You know, that makes me respect him to some degree.
Yeah,
he should expose it though, don't you think?
He's got a family. He's got a kid. He's got a family. He's got a kid, and you really want to raise your family in that kind of environment? I don't think so. No.
Wow. Okay. It was great talking to you. I still want to listen, though. I want to, still listen.
Oh, absolutely. As much as you want. Again, if you guys want more information about our programs, you can go to spiritualimageproductions.com, spiritualimageproductions.com. Sign up for the email list. That'll keep you abreast of everything that's going on. And, or just there's always stuff going on. Thank you for coming by, Kevin. Aloha.
Yeah, no problem.
So we got another caller here on
Hi.
our area code 402. Aloha, you're on the air.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. This is Sharon. I'll just be quick. I have a couple questions. You know, you were saying that you could tell someone was remote viewing into your home.
Yeah.
Is that okay? How did you know? What did you feel or see?
Well, Sharon, first of all, where are you located at, and how did you hear about it?
I've listened to your show before. You know, just through I found it on Blog Talk.
Got it. So Sharon,
But
I've been prone to psychic ability for years. I don't know how psychic I was at the time, but I was heavy into meditation. And when you're really sensitive to energies, sensitive to people's emotions and feelings, you know, you pick up stuff, and sometimes you don't know why or where or what, but you just pick up stuff, and it's out of the blue. And sometimes you do understand, and sometimes you don't. At the time, I could feel it was like ghosts. I have picked up ghosts before in a room, and I have had that confirmed. I was living with I went to visit with a family. I was getting some postcards done in Phoenix, and they let me stay the night with them. And then I went to bed on their couch, and all of a sudden, literally, you know how sometimes you have somebody in your face, like literally in your face, and you go and you like chuck back, or your head kicks back because they're so close.
Right.
It was like that. You know, there was this woman, there a ghost there, and she was like right in my face, and I kicked back. I said, "Who are you?" And then she had like I could sense she had a big smile on her face, and so usually when I talk to ghosts, I coax them into going back in the light so that they can be freed and move on. A lot of times they're just stuck, and they're just. So anyhow, I coaxed her into the light, and then I got up in the morning, went to the breakfast table, everybody was sitting there, and I go, "Did you guys know that you had a ghost in your house?" And that all were laughing, they were all laughing, right? Blah blah blah. So they go, "We thought we got rid of her already." I said, "Well, no, she might be gone now, but she was there last night, that's for sure." So anyhow, it was like that. It was like picking up on a ghost, but this wasn't an energy of a ghost. This was and like especially for women. Have you ever felt like some guy just watching you, like just checking you out, like checking out your butt, checking out your breasts, checking out your face? I mean, just really looking at you and peering at you. Have you ever felt something like that?
They don't want to look at
They don't want to check me out. It was just like that. The remote viewing was exactly like that. I felt like somebody was looking at me.
I think, all right, how about this? This is the other question. This is right on topic. Cloaking. You know, I mean, I've even seen some videos.
I can barely hear you, Sharon. I don't know why, but I can barely hear you.
Okay.
Can you put your mouth to the mic, please?
Cloaking.
Go ahead.
You know, are they using cloaking? You know, with the general public. I mean, is that? Have you guys?
Reverend Marietta, did you pick up anything on that level at all?
On whether they're using cloaking, I know they are using cloaking for planes and things like that.
Yeah,
really?
I've come across where they do have literally ships that are UFO ships. They look like UFO ships, but they're actually man-made. And I'm pretty sure they have a number of vehicles out there that can cloak themselves when they're flying out in the air. I don't know anything about vehicles that are just on the road or anything like that. Maybe it wouldn't surprise me if there's vehicles that are on the road that can cloak themselves. But there are, I believe, I'm almost 100% sure there are planes that can be cloaked.
I wondered if they, because I saw a video about an Army guy, and it looked like he was coming out of a cloak, and he was invisible before that. And I wondered if you knew of any, if they had any material or anything now that they were using, on people. Like if soldiers.
Again,
I bet they are.
You know, when people watch movies, there's a lot of ridiculous stuff out there that's really out of this world. But if you pay attention,
right? No,
like the Harry Potter movies that they have the cloak. There probably is
that idea.
Something out there that can operate like that. I can almost bet you. And
I tell you, I swear, my dog went nuts something out in the patio, and I didn't see anything. But my camera, my phone, took rapid pictures, and it showed up in the picture like there was somebody underneath like a blue cloak. It was weird.
Oh, interesting. Now, that could be more alien activity than man-made activity. I don't know. But was it a blue color, did you say?
Yeah, it was like
I don't know.
blue.
Huh.
It was weird.
So that's interesting. Now, Sharon, and for all of you guys that are listening to this, not only now but after the fact, if you have some paranormal activity that you have experienced, cloaking, ghosts, paranormal, UFOs, aliens, anything that's paranormal, you can report this to the MUFON. Go to MUFON.org,
right, and
there's a place where you can write your story, put in your story, and ask that it be analyzed. And there'll be somebody that will look at it, and if they feel like it's significant enough, and if it's really something that can't be really explained, then they and they may contact you anyhow regardless, but they'll contact you and talk to you and ask you if you want to be interviewed about that.
Yeah, so, I haven't really had that. My mother did when she lived here. My mother, woke up and saw two aliens standing in front of her here in my living room. And we never discussed aliens or anything like that. And one was a gray, and the other one she said was an insect. It was some kind of she said it was a tall, skinny bug-like thing. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's weird.
And I'd never heard of that when she said it.
I remember a year,
but she was reports of insectoid aliens.
Years ago, when I first moved to Sedona, the only thing that I had for a door was a piece of cloth. And one night I woke up, and there was about 9 aliens, little grays, in my room, right next to my bed. I don't know what they were doing, what they were getting ready to do, or what they did. But the only reason that I knew that they were there is that because I woke up and I hear this little screeching sound, and then the only reason I know it wasn't my imagination is that piece of cloth all of a sudden just swayed open like these beams were going out of that door. So that's the only reason I know I wasn't going crazy. So anyhow,
let me ask you. Let me ask you this.
Other information.
A lot of people, a few people have said, or I've heard, and I kind of might go along with this because in my situation, I've got people, normal human beings that are trying to pretend they're trying to make me think that the house is haunted or it's aliens or something like that. They kind of rigged stuff to make me think that, but I'm not that stupid or gullible like they thought I was. But the point is, I'm wondering how much of you think any of this is being faked by the government to make us think that it's aliens.
I have had incidences where I believe the CIA has tried to induce me literally to commit suicide, to do things, or just feel sad or whatever.
Right.
And I'm whenever something like that comes across, I look at well, where is this energy coming from? So those are the things that you want to look at. Where does this stuff come from? Anyhow, we're all out of time, Sharon. I want to thank you for stopping by. You can always connect with us later on via email. All of you. Have a thanks, Reverend Marietta.
Yeah, I enjoyed
all of you have a God weekend. Be the love that you are. Always.
Aloha.
Aloha.